Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. All praise to Allah who grants us these opportunities. Today is the 7th Muharram, 1443 Hijri. In these nights of Muharram al-Haraam, we gather here to offer our condolences to the Prophets and the Ahlul Bayt, especially Sayyidah Fatima on the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein and the martyrs of Karbala. We pray the Almighty hastens the Hud and the advent of the last Imam who will avenge the event of Karbala. In order to start today's program with the recitation of Holy Quran, I will request Brother Yusuf, Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. صلوات.
That was a beautiful recitation. I will now request Brother Taha to recite a poem. Salawat.
بردگار نار صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين وجعلنا وإياكم من الطالبين بثأره مع ولي الإمام المهدي من آل محمد اللهم صل على محمد आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन चलते नाक़े से गिराया खुद को जलती रेत पर चलते नाक़े से गिराया खुद को जलती रेत पर घुटनियों के बल में तेरी लाश तक आई हुसैन बस मैं घबराई थी खंजर तुझ पे चलता देख कर बस मैं घबराई थी खंजर तुझ पे चलता देख कर फिर किसी मुश्किल में घिर कर मैं न घबराई हुसैन। कौन था जो मरने वालों में नहीं था खूबरू। कौन था जो मरने वालों में नहीं था खूबरू। भूलने बैठी तो किस किस की न याद आई हुसैन। बह रहे थे आँख से आंसू तेरी रुखसत के वक्त। बह रहे थे आँख से आंसू तेरी रुखसत के वक्त। फिर कोई आंसू न टपका आँख पथराई हुसैन। हाथ में कूजे लिए सब आसमां तकते रहे। हाथ में कूजे लिए सब आसमां तकते रहे। अब्र ने एक बूंद पानी का न बरसाई हुसैन। दूर उफ्तादा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवेद। दूर उफ्तादा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवेद। ठंडा पानी जब पिया बस तेरी याद आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you for the beautiful recitation. I will now ask our respected speaker, Sheikh Shafiq Huda, to address this majlis. Salawat.
नारे तकबीर, नारे रिसालत, नारे हैदरी, मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम। الفاتحة. بسم الله.
لا حول لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض، إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين، ورحمة الله على محبيهم، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقاتليهم وغاصب حقوق حقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. صلوات الله. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بعبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. I extend condolences to the Imam of the time, Imam al-Hujjah, to the Holy Prophet and his family, and to the entire Muslim Ummah as we mark these days of the Shahada of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. My respected sisters, my brothers, my youngsters, my elders, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we've been continuing these discussions on these holy nights, and 2 nights ago we had begun a series on the appreciation of the Quran, and yesterday we had just very at the end of the discussion begun a discussion on the contributions made by Muslims, the contributions made by Islam to modern society, to modern civilization, to the human race. And I just had one last Kamaltu lakum deenukum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakumul Islam deena. That on this day, al-yawma akmalta lakum deenukum, I have perfected for you your religion. I have completed my favors upon you. And Allah Ta'ala is saying, I have selected Islam as the religion for you. Wa raditu lakumul Islam deena. I am pleased with Islam as your religion, as your path, as your way of life. Islam ad-Deen, the word deen here is talking about a way of life. If you look at the Quran Majid, the Holy Quran uses a number of terms to talk about religion. Madhab, deen, tariqah, sirat, all these things have been used in the Quran Majid. And the word deen is really important in itself because it also reminds us that Allah Ta'ala is Maliki Yawmid, right? This is a Maliki Yawmil Sirat, Maliki Yawmil Madhab or religion. Allah Ta'ala says Maliki Yawmid Deen. It is talking about that day of religion, that day when religion will be known. The true religion will be exposed. The true religion will be known to everybody, by everybody. So Allah Ta'ala mentions that in the Quran. And then in the 17th surah of the Holy Quran, Allah Ta'ala says that if all of mankind, kullan nasa wal jinna, well, everybody was to come together and bring forward even one chapter of the Quran, they will not be able to do it. The challenge of the Quran is there, that try and bring forward even one chapter of the Quran. The whole Quran to dur ki baat hai. Ek sipara, ek surah to la dijiye. Bring one surah even. Even that's not possible. And then the same ayah, the next ayah reminds us, وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. That this Quran, we have sent it down for mankind in parts. And it has come in sections. So don't be overwhelmed. Don't think that you have to read the whole thing in one time. No, read it in parts. Read it in, and this is where our sixth Imam says that it is the obligation, it is a duty, it is a very strong recommendation for a believer to recite at least 30, 40 verses in a day of the Holy Quran in one day. Now when I look at myself, I ask the community, Do we spend enough time to recite 30, 40 verses in one day? We sometimes think, well, I'm reciting the salat. The namaz has got, 20, 30 verses in it. I do a few du'as, maybe there's a little bit here and there. But to sit down and read the Quran when not somebody has passed away, not when somebody is dead, not when you have to do Surat al-Yasin or any Amajib or you're looking for something, but to actually recite the Quran and Majid, this is where it is. A very beautiful hadith comes from our fourth Imam, Imam Ali ibn al-Husayn, Sayyid al-Abidin alayhi salatu wassalam, in which Imam says, لو مات من بين المشرق والمغرب, if everything from the east and the west was to die, لو مات was to die, everything was to be finished, annihilated. He says, even then I would not feel lonely, al-Qur'anu ma'i, as long as the Quran was with me. Yeah, the Imam is saying is everything else was to finish, and as long as the Quran was with me, I would not feel loneliness. One man was found on a deserted island after many years. He was rescued. And the people, as part of their sympathy to him, condolences to him, you were stranded for so many days, all alone, this and that. Must have been very difficult, must have been hard, must have been very lonely. We are social creatures. Insan is the one social creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Animals can often survive on their own. Birds can often survive on their own. They have teamwork, they have things, but they can survive. Insan, one of the strongest or stringent forms of punishment that you can give a human being is what's called solitary confinement. Solitary confinement means that you've done such a horrible crime that they put you alone, or that you are in danger, that you have to be put alone without any other prisoners when you're in jail. Solitary confinement is given to this hardest and harshest of punishments. And so being alone is very, very difficult. So this man was saying that you were so lonely after all these years. He smiles and he replied, he said, who said I was lonely? He says that whenever I wanted to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to God, I would do my salat. When I wanted to speak to Allah, I would do my namaz. When I wanted Allah ta'ala to speak to me, I would recite the Quran. When I wanted to talk to Allah, I would recite namaz. When I wanted Allah ta'ala to talk to me, I would recite the Quran. Salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. So if the Quran is understood and appreciated properly, it can actually become a companion for us. And so yesterday I left off with this one statement whereby the Quran gives us a dua, a desire. It says, Rabbi zidni ilman, O Allah, increase my knowledge. And the very first revelation that was given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was what? In the Mount of Hira. What was the first word that was revealed to Rasulullah? As I said, I cannot hear very clearly, so Jazakallah khair, Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you all, inshallah. Whoever said it, may Allah reward. Ikra Bismi Rabbika al-A'la. Read. That was the first word, read. That means reading. And the word ikra, this doesn't just mean read. It is actually an extension or a very interesting meaning or a deeper meaning, whereby ascertaining knowledge is what the real meaning of ikra is. Ascertaining knowledge, and to seek out knowledge that will inshallah get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why one of the things that Islam has been very open on. And if you look at other faiths, because I get the opportunity to study almost 15 to 20 other faiths on a regular ongoing basis. I have interfaith meetings, and many of you have attended our interfaith gatherings right here in this center as well. So you know that we deal with a lot of madhahib, a lot of different deens, a lot of different tariqas and sirats. And nobody has so much emphasis on the increasing of knowledge on ilm as Islam. Whereby the Prophet says that utlubul ilma faridatan ala kulli muslimina wal muslimat, that seeking knowledge is compulsory, is an obligation on every Muslim male and female. And so the foundation was laid about knowledge. The Prophet had been quoted as saying that utlubul ilma hatta bis-sin, seek knowledge Even if you have to go to China, why did the Prophet use the word China? Hatta bisin. Even if you have to go to China. One of the reasons that commentators of this hadith have used is the fact that China was a completely different cultural, linguistic, geographic, historic background than the Arabian Peninsula. More so, more foreign to what was in the Arabian Peninsula than even the Europeans. So the Prophet said that even if you have to go somewhere where it's far away, you don't know anything about it, seek knowledge even from there. One of the two early books, first books of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Yaqub Kulayni's encyclopedia work of Al-Kafi is Kitab al-Fadail al-Ilm. Kitab al-Ilm wal-Jahl. There's two books. The first two. It's an encyclopedia, but these first two books are dedicated to knowledge. Kitab al-Fadail al-Ilm. And there's countless, so many hadith in there that talk about the importance of knowledge, that talk about how to increase knowledge, and not just, sometimes people think that when somebody comes on the mimbar, some sheikh or sayyid comes on the mimbar, and they tell you to increase your knowledge, they're talking about, read more history books, read more Islamic books, read more fiqh books, read more usul books. In actuality, the increasing of knowledge is not limited or confined to just what we would call religious or theological knowledge, but rather any knowledge that will help us get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so here with this, I will enter our topic tonight, inshallah, which was supposed to have been last night, but inshallah I'll do it tonight, which is what contributions Islam has made to modern civilization. And this starts out, the foundation has been laid, the importance has been set down. Any knowledge, whether it is medical knowledge, whether it is astronomical knowledge, whether it is botanical knowledge, whether it's medical knowledge, whether it is scientific, physical, mathematical, or historical or geographic knowledge, any of them, as long as they get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those are worthy, considered to be a worthy act of ibadat, an act of worship. So Islam left it open. The only thing we are reminded, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min nafsin la tashba wa min qalbin la yaksha wa min jazakallah Murtaza bhai wa min ilmin la yanfa'. Except, Ya Allah, protect us from the knowledge that does not benefit us. The knowledge that does not get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the only knowledge that we are told to stay away from. Every other knowledge we are told to ascertain and obtain and struggle and strive for. So hence we enter one of the most dynamic eras of the Muslim world, of the history of mankind. An era whereby the advancement in technology, the advancement in knowledge, true knowledge, came about in the life of Imam Jafar ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, and Salli ala Muhammad wa ali, and his noble father Imam Muhammad ibn Ali al-Baqir al-Min Nabiyyin alayhi salatu wassalam. These two eras were what we would call the golden era of human history. Why? Because there was a lot of things that had happened in that era, in these two imamats, that were unparalleled in human history up until that time, and even to an extent in Islamic history as well. Yesterday you had heard how Amir al-Mu'mineen had made a statement, had made a challenge. Saluni, ask me. Before I am taken away from you, any questions could be asked. But people at that time were somewhat illogical, irresponsible, just plain, I don't want to use any negative words on Mimbar al-Rasul, but I think you understand what I'm coming to. They would say, Ya Ali, how many hairs do I have on my head? Mawla says, I can tell you, but how will you know? मैं जवाब दे सकता हूं, लेकिन तुम्हें कैसे पता चलेगा कि हकीकी जवाब है या नहीं? समझ रहे ना? So the Imam had an era, the people had a golden chance, but they didn't take it. What did I do? How many hairs does my camel have? What should I do? And a few people would come with, dynamic questions, with dilemmas and various challenges. So the Imam, and again, in one of these nights, if we have the time, inshallah, bi'ithnillah, I will, talk about a little bit of the judgments that Mawla had given. But, coming back to what we're saying, so in the time of, after the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Shahadat of Imam al-Mujtaba, the events of Karbala, which we are marking now, after that, the Umayyads were now starting to suffer. And Alhamdulillah, their downfall was coming. But then the pickup was Banu Abbas, which was no better for the believers anyways. But what was happening was, in between this political tussle, in between this political wrangling, political wrangling and political tussle is actually really good for us. September 20th will be a good opportunity for us to now make sure our voice is heard loud and clear. This is an opportunity. And Alhamdulillah, we need to take advantage of it. Otherwise, we are the losers ourselves. Election call is there. Election is a time where we can get, we can hold everybody's neck. Figuratively, not literally, please. Zara sambal ke chalna. Warna mere liye bhi khatra ho jayega, aapke liye bhi. ठीक है. So anyways, this is the time, because when everyone's busy in politics and in campaigning, which was happening to Banu Abbas and Banu Umayyah. You see, on the very first night I spoke in front of you, I reminded myself and all of you, history repeats itself. We need to take advantage of that situation. History will repeat itself all the time. And an overwhelming majority of people will not know what to do in any and every situation. Please, do not be oblivious. Do not be oblivious to what is happening around us. Do not be apathetic. This is the time for us to be involved, to make sure that our voice is heard, and to make sure whatever we are demanding, we want, that is not only our right as an individual or community, but our global right as well. Whether it is about climate change, whether it is about the arms sales to Saudi Arabia and to Israel, whether it is our stand being put down as strongly as possible about what has happened in this country, to the Aboriginals, to the First Nations who own this land, who were the first inhabitants, and who were severely oppressed by the Europeans when they came. This is a chance. Believe me, it's a golden opportunity. So the fifth Imam's latter part of the Imamat, and the sixth Imam's beginning part of the Imamat, was this opportunity whereby the Imams had a chance to explain not only Islam, as I mentioned in the beginning part, the theological sciences and the theological knowledge, but also a lot of the physics, mathematics, geography, zoology, botany, astronomical sciences, medical sciences. And I will name a few people because I was not able to name all of them, but I'll give you a little bit of a selection after we come to this introduction, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. So what the fifth Imam did was, the Banu Umayyah, they began to open up the translation departments and began to open up various libraries and ways of having knowledge brought into the Arabian Peninsula. Now, some people, including even some Shia people who go on the mimbar, I don't want to call them alims or scholars because they are not worthy of that. But they have said, and Orientals have said that, Banu Umayyah did so much work in educational advancement, in scientific advancement, because what they were doing was they were translating a lot of the Greek, Roman, Hindu, like Indian literatures, sciences into the Arabic language and basically making them very, very common. Now, some say that this was good because it gave people a chance to have an intellectual discussion and a debate, which is not bad. Islam encourages intellectual, scientific debate and discussion. Imam Raza used to have it, Imam Sadiq used to have it, Imam Bakr used to have it, and as well Amir al-Mu'mineen himself. But then what was the other dark side of the coin? There was a dark side of the coin as well. And that dark side is something that needs to be understood at a metaphysical level, not just zahiran, not just openly, but very batini as well, covertly as well. What was the reason? If people are firm in their iman, अगर किसी का ईमान मजबूत है, किसी का अकीदा मजबूत है, तो वो किस तरह हिलाया जा सकता है? How do you shake somebody's faith? You bring about a concept that is a new concept, a different concept. And those who are not firm in their aqidah and their iman will start wavering and shaking. and start questioning, not to gain a scientific or an intellectual advantage, but to say that, am I doing what is right or is this correct? And it happens everywhere. A number of students, both in our community and outside of our community, what happens to them? They go to college, they go to university. After 4 years or 5 years of college and university, they come back. And I've had people come into my office, believe me, bidun shak. I'm telling you very honestly, they come in, they say, you know what? I'm really wondering, should we believe in God because we can't see Him? Should we believe in Allah and Rasulullah? And it's interesting, because I remind them, the existence of Rasulullah, of Muhammad ibn Abdullah, is a historical fact. There are certain items that are known as historical facts that are indisputable, that cannot be challenged or debated. Did somebody named Muhammad ibn Abdullah exist or not? Born in 570 AD, died in 632 AD. You go to even the most kafir of kafirs, the most disbeliever of disbelievers, you go to the the most anti-Muslim of anti-Muslim, they'll say, yes, somebody with that name, somebody with that characteristic did exist. Somebody who made a claim to Nabuwah did exist. There's no ifs, buts, or ands about that. Did somebody named Jesus, son of Mary, exist or not? Historical fact. Nobody can get up and say, oh, I don't believe that Jesus existed. Well, whether you believe in Him to be A, B, or C, whether you believe in Him to be a son of God or a prophet or a messenger of God is irrelevant. He existed or not, there's no doubt. So now that's where the discussion starts. Now we can go from there. You want to build a house, the foundation is already there. The problem is that knowledge took them on the wrong path because their initial foundation was not there. You see what we're saying? The Imams wanted to make sure that the first thing they did was ensure that the Aqidah and the Iman and the faith of the believers was firm, and then we can have discussions and intellectual confrontations, deliberations, seminars and meetings. Because if I myself am not firm, I myself don't know Islam, how will I explain Islam to a non-Muslim who comes to me and says, explain to me the concept of God? I mean, simply put today, if I was to come and say that I don't believe in Wi-Fi signal, Sayyid, I don't believe in Wi-Fi signal because I don't see it. So why should I? The first thing you will do is change the password and say, okay, let's see now how your phone will work. Let's see how your laptop will work, Mr. Shafiq. Let's see how your desktop will work now. You don't believe in it? We'll cut it off and then we'll show you. Baba, okay. You will think that I am insane, I am mad. Because it is something so basic that everybody, even these children, will be able to understand how these phones and Wi-Fi works than myself. I remember, in the early days of, all this time I was used to plugging in an Ethernet cable, right? You guys still remember that, I hope, eh? Oh, you youngsters won't remember this, but my generation will, and I'm sure they had to plug in an Ethernet channel, cable, and you go to a hotel, they'll tell you, okay, here's the cable, do you have your own cable, or do you want to use our cable? And you plug it into the wall, you plug it into your laptop, and that's how your laptop would work. And I remember, first of all, going to a hotel, and they said, sir, do you want Wi-Fi? I said, no, I've brought her with me. They said, huh? I said, well, you asked me about my wife? No. Wi-Fi. I said, what is this Wi-Fi? It's wireless fidelity. I said, what does that mean? He says, you can have internet access with your laptop and walk around with it anywhere you want. I said, wow, mashallah. That was a new thing. I remember having the opportunity to visit one of the, at that time he was a senior executive at what was this, in Seattle, Allahu Akbar. Bill Gates' company. Microsoft, Jazakallah khair. Astaghfirullah. And Microsoft, I went to visit him in his house. Even, mashallah, he had a huge mansion, mashallah. We had namaz together. He was one of our Shia brothers. And we had a beautiful conversation, and that was the first time in the late 1990s, because he was an executive, so he had all these gadgets and toys before any of us even imagined it. And he would walk around with his laptop upstairs, downstairs. We would have Salatul Jamaat together, and he was online all the time, fast, super fast connection. And I was thinking to myself, I said, wow, this is a miracle, this is a mu'jiza. You remember how we mentioned that everybody's imtihan is different? Everybody's concept of mu'jizat is different. What is a miracle to you might not be a miracle to me. What is a miracle to me might not be a miracle to you. And so we saw this advancement. I said that, wow, will this happen to Insan-e-Aam in Canada, in North America? I mean, I could not even imagine this in Asia or Africa or in Indo-Pakistani subcontinent. I said, I wonder if Canadians will ever have this. And within 10 years, today, our youngsters, these teenagers, cannot even imagine life without having Wi-Fi. So your faith needs to be understood and put in faith. When we talk about Imam Sahib al-Amr and our responsibilities, we'll talk about science and how we need to be not only in sync with science and technology, but the Shias need to be actually in front of, ahead of the technology of when the Imam comes, so that we'll be ready when the Imam comes. So the Imam knew that the idea or one of the intentions of Banu Umayyah was to shake the faith of the believers. Was to shake the faith. So the Imam spent a lot of time talking about Aqidah, talking about Iman, talking about faith. And then they started engaging the believers in the presence of those non-Muslims who wanted to have scientific discussions. And so here what we find is that this was a golden era, but at the same time the Imams were treading very, very cautiously. Okay, because here when we look at how the Imam's responsibility is, Allahu Akbar, every Imam alayhimus salam has a responsibility that is subjective to their respective eras. People often say that, well, Imam Hassan was like this, Imam Hussein was, more hot-blooded, na'udhu billah, Imam Hassan was very calm and pacifistic. We've talked about this before, so I won't go into detail. But remember one thing, had Imam Hassan been there in 61 Hijri, he would have fought the same battle against Yazid and Ibn Ziyad and Shimr and all of them as Imam Hussein Abu Abdullah alayhi salam did. Had Imam Hussein been there in 4150 Hijri, he would have had done the same thing that Imam Hassan and Mujtaba had done. Imams have their own responsibilities in each era. Names change, the philosophy doesn't change. So when the Imam had to take on this discussion, the Imam was, interestingly enough, faced with this dilemma. Okay. How do we convey the message such that the non-Muslims will understand that we have a foundation, we have a root, and that we have the answers to whatever dilemmas you bring. And at the same time, make sure that by these colorful arguments and discussions, the Muslims don't shy away from their own Iman and their Aqidah. So you can see how dangerous this era was, how dangerous this zamana was. Okay, so the fifth Imam began teaching what was known as the University or the Academy of Medina. And he began initially with a few subjects. One time, the Khalifa of the time, Abdul Malik, decided to visit. And at that time, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was the governor of Medina. Now, out of Banu Umayyah, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was what we would call somewhat of a better Khalifa. He had returned Fadak back to Imam Muhammad ibn Ali al-Baqir. He had done a lot. He had stopped the cursing of Amirul Mu'mineen from the mimbar. He had done a lot of things that were, alhamdulillah, a little better. But he was given a very short time before he was removed and basically sent back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it was an era that we had. But at the time that the Khalifa was visiting, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was just the governor of Medina. He wanted to visit the Academy of Medina because, as I said, it was a very sensitive time for the Banu Umayyah. They were falling down, they were heading down. And so when the visit took place, when he comes there, he sees a number of students in the Academy of Imam Muhammad ibn Ali al-Baqir. And he was asking his governor, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, what is Muhammad ibn Ali al-Baqir teaching? He says that he is able to teach zoology, botany, history, geography, physics, mathematics, all of that. And many of these sciences were still considered as a part of physics. Okay, they were not given their own. You know how the division of the various compartments of the universities are. Over there, much of these mathematical, even the geographic and the historical studies were all under physics. Okay, so he's saying that he's teaching physics and he is going into these compartmentalizations, these departments, these various specializations. And then the Khalifa asked, he says, why is there an 11-year-old child sitting there? यानी इस पूरे मजमे में एक बच्चा क्या कर रहा है? यहाँ पे तो बुजुर्ग है, यहाँ तो सब बूढ़े लोग हैं, बड़े लोग हैं. These are the intellectual, what you would call the cream of the crop. And then you've got a child there. He says that child, he is Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. And out of the group of all of those highly intellectual, learned people, Ja'far ibn Muhammad is still the most intelligent of them. He is still the most intellectual of them. So he said, let me ask him a few questions. And he asks him a few questions about the sciences. And one of the things that the historians and the biographers of Abdul Malik have mentioned is that he himself was a bit short upstairs, as were most of the Banu Umayyah Khulafa. They were actually very unintellectual. Short of using a bad word from the Mimbar Rasul, I'll leave it at that, and for you to, inshallah, make up the name in your mind yourself. They were not very smart upstairs. They had managed, because of their, Muawiyah alayhi lan's sweet talkingness, is how he managed to establish the Khilafat and keep him and his family in power. That was all that they had inherited. No knowledge, no taqwa, no intelligence, no iman, no aqidah, nothing else. So when the Imam actually, this 11-year-old Imam asked him some questions, he was baffled and he had to go to Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and ask him, by the way, explain to me what he's asking and how should I answer. Okay? And it was at this time, while he was still a child, that people in Medina and in the European world were still discussing Aristotle's theory of the four elements. Now, this is going to be obviously a discussion I will not be able to finish tonight, inshallah. But Aristotle had put down that there are four elements. I'm sure all of you will remember, right? Earth, water, fire, and air. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Thank you. And at that time, this was accepted by the Europeans almost, you can say unanimously, for many centuries, that there is four elements. These are the four elements: earth, water, fire, and air. And Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, at the age of 11, contradicted Aristotle's theory, which has been around for centuries. And he says that no, first of all, air itself is not an element, it is composed of various elements. It is not in itself an element. And what is air? We'll say oxygen, right? Now, I see many university graduates, doctors, masters here, bachelor's holders. You will be able to tell me, are we breathing pure oxygen? Have you heard of something called oxidization? What can happen to metal if it gets oxidized? Rust, correct? You know better than me. I know nothing. Please forgive me. I'm not trying to make any points, score any points with you. I don't know any of this. It is only the gift of Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam that I'm able to share with you, inshallah. Otherwise, I have nothing. I am nobody. The Imam went on to say that the air we are breathing is composed of various other elements. And so he contradicted that theory that Aristotle's. And then he also debated Ptolemy's theory, because at this time, even in the Arab world, there was a lot of the theories of not only Ptolemy and Socrates, but the Plato's theories, including Plato's Republic, was now starting to get translated into the Arabic world, and people are now having discussions and trying to see, well, because Islam does not have its own theory on mathematics and medicine, so we have no choice but to accept the Europeans' theories, and that is where somebody at the caliber of Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam stood up and says, no, we have our own theories and we will explain those theories. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. A group of 22 scientists, philosophers, thinkers from Europe wrote an article in Strasbourg, in France. Strasbourg. Many were Belgian, German, French, and Europeans of various calibers. There was almost all of them were Europeans. One or two were American, and one was Iranian. These 22 scientists and thinkers started, because up until the Second World War, there was very little research done into the Shia school of thought. What is the Shia mentality? What is the Shia ideology and all these things? They got together because they came across some of the teachings, some of the writings, some of the theories that were propounded by none other than Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. They wrote a treatise, a booklet. The booklet is called The Great Scientist Ja'far ibn Muhammad. They don't believe in him to be Imam. Remember, these are non-Muslims. Almost all of them, except one. They were all non-Muslims. So they don't say Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad, Imam alayhi salam. They just say the great scientist, the great thinker, the great philosopher, Ja'far ibn Muhammad. And they started looking and taking a look at his writings, and they were mesmerized by that. And they said that what Ja'far ibn Muhammad talked about in the era that he was living in, Europeans found out 1,100 years later. What Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salam talked about, whether it was the air, the elements, whether it was the sciences, they give one example in one of their chapters. They said that Ja'far ibn Muhammad, remember, I'm not saying Imam, please forgive me, my Mawla, I ask you to forgive me. I should be saying Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. But they have just written Ja'far. They've written Ja'far ibn Muhammad. They wrote, these are non-Muslims. I just want you to keep that in mind. And this booklet came out fairly recently. It was translated fairly recently, like in the last generation, I can say. And their writings were from just after the Second World War, because up until that time, there was not much research done by non-Muslims on Hazrat Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And they wrote that Ja'far ibn Muhammad had talked about life on other planets, in other solar systems, in other galaxies. And in the late 1700s, one French philosopher also wrote, 1700s AD. So that is almost 1,000 years after Imam Sadiq. He said that I have a feeling, but he had no scientific dalil. I have a feeling that there is life on other planets. In the 1900s, Marconi, an Italian philosopher, an Italian thinker, Marconi, he had some scientific machinery and some wireless devices similar to what the telegraph was. You know the telegraph, right? Youngsters, anybody less than 50 probably won't know what a telegraph is. The telegraph is how we used to communicate in the old days. I'm talking about the 40s, 50s, and around that time. And so what he said was, I can see signals. Listen carefully. I can see signals. I can feel signals. I am receiving signals from somewhere outside of this solar system. Somebody is trying to contact me, make contact with me, but I don't have the way of reaching out to them and telling them or responding to them. Allahu Akbar. He is saying that. Now I remember my statement of Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq in his tall teachings of knowledge. The Imam, when he was asked, Yabna Rasulullah, is there life in other planets? Allah Ta'ala says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, not Rabbil Arad. Muhammad is Muhammadur Rasulullah Rahmatul Lil. Please, everybody together, saath mein. Rahmatul Lil Alameen. Alameen is plural, not singular. Plural, not singular, not dual. Alameen means more. Imam Sadiq was asked, is there life on other planets? Because Allah is saying He's the Rahmatul Rabbil Alameen. Imam says that there is life on other planets. That life is more intelligent than your life here on Mother Earth. And the Imam concluded that statement. He says, all of them are followers of Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. There is life over there. These scientists are now researching and they're saying, yes, we believe it. We just don't know how to reach out to them. You know, there's a beautiful analogy in the Quran Majid. When the Yahud came to Hazrat Maryam and they made accusations against her, and they were talking to her father and her mother and saying, you are not so bad, your mother, your wife is not so evil. What happened to Maryam? She has a baby. And Hazrat Maryam had made a nazar, has made a qasam or whatever, an oath that I will not speak. She points to the baby. When they said, what happened? Mahada, kya ho gaya hai? She kaanami ko nahi, kya hua hai? She says, she points to the kid. Their response was, how can we talk to a child? They never says, how will the child talk to us? Because they knew the child can talk to us. We have difficulty talking to the child. With salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. When something is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the problem will be ours because of our short-mindedness, not whatever is going to be coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Imam has spoken about so many things. This is only one thing that I only shared with you in this majlis. Allahu Akbar. So inshallah, with both of your permissions, my dear Sayyids, this will be continued tomorrow as well, inshallah. I know that you had mentioned part 2, inshallah. We may need to have a part 3 because there's a lot of things that I want to clarify. Because one of the things that we find, and I'll expand upon this, inshallah. The Western world has got a habit. The superpowers of the day have a habit. And that habit is they want to take credit for everything. You ask an average child in the US, who discovered America? Jawab kya denge? Fi jawab Columbus. District of Columbia is named after him. Columbus, Ohio is named after him. University of Columbus is there. This Columbus, that Columbus, Columbia, this and that. Baba, will anybody have the courage to tell them that that old fool himself was lost and he thought he was in India, that's why he called them Indians? And you tell him he's discovered America? Allahu Akbar. Who discovered the airplane? Right away they'll tell you the Wright brothers. You ask them, have you heard of Abbas ibn Firnas? They say, who's that? Which dude is that? No, you don't know. You tell them that, have you heard about medical science and the first eye operations and who was the greatest physician? And they will not be able to name Ar-Razi. They will not be able to tell you the greatest explorer who wrote about his expedition was Ibn Battuta. They'll say, what are you talking about? And sometimes even us, we have not appreciated ourselves, our history, or who we are. And if you don't appreciate your history, you will not understand your present, and you will have no hope for the future. This is where we will, inshallah, continue from. Because our Imams wanted to make sure our faith was correct, then our actions will follow automatically. If the Aqidah is there, the actions will follow by itself. And this is what our Prophet taught us. Remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remind us of the accountability. Remind us of Tawheed and Nabuwwat, Adalat, and Imamat, and Nabuwwat, and Imamat, and accountability on Yawm al-Qiyam. This was now in the hands of Ali ibn Abi Talib after the Prophet left this world. The whole responsibility of guiding the Ummah to the next level was on the hands of Amir al-Mu'mineen. In the month of Ramadan al-Sharif, Mawla gets killed. Now the responsibility shifts to Hassan al-Mujtaba. Despite those difficulties and the wavering of the people, Imam Hassan fulfills his responsibility for the next 10 years. From 40 Hijri to 50 Hijri. Imam gets shaheed in the month of Safar in 50 Hijri. Now it is up to Abu Abdullah to look after the affairs of the Ummah. Remember one thing, my dear brothers and sisters. Imam Hussein had the imamat from 50 Hijri to 61 Hijri when he was shaheed. In those first 10 years, do you see a war led by Imam Hussein? Do you see any battle led by Imam Hussein? That's why when I was saying at the beginning that people said Imam Hussein was hot-blooded and he was just itching for a fight, they failed to understand that those first 10 years of his imamat, the Imam did not have any battle. It was not until 61 Hijri, when Yazid forced the battle of Karbala upon him, that the Imam responded militarily. If somebody wants to have a fight, if somebody wants to have a war, Would you rather have a war when you're young and strong or when you're older? जब हम बूढ़े हो जाते हैं तो क्या ताकत रहती है हमारे पास? क्या मजबूती होती है हमारे पास? There's nothing. We are weaker. We are frailer. If we want to have a fight, let's have it while we're young and fight with somebody who is just like us so we can overpower them. Imam waited 10 years. Imam was not this, what these Orientalists and other writers have said, that he just wanted a battle. No, the Maslihat directed him to lay quiet for those first 10 years. And then when Muawiyah alayhi la'an went to Jahannam and Yazid demanded bayat, that's what caused the Imam to rise. The Imam is getting everybody ready. Everybody is being prepared. On the plains of Karbala, the Imam reminds his companions and everybody in his various khutabat, every one of you will have a role to play on the plains of Karbala. Whether you are young or old, whether you're elderly or young, you will all have to talk about it. The Imam often talked about what will happen on the day of Ashura. The Imam often talked about what is going to happen the next day. When on the night of Ashura, he was talking about who all will be martyred and who all will be killed. A young teenager comes to the Imam and holds his abba and says, "Uncle, is my name also listed on the list of shuhada? Is my name also listed on the list of shuhada? Is my name mentioned there?" And Imam Hussein looks at Qasim and says, "Qasim, kaifa indakal maut?" Kaifa indakal maut? Qasim, what is maut to you? You are a teenager, you are a youngster. What is maut? What is death to you? And Hazrat Qasim replies that it is more sweet to me, min al-shahad, sweeter to me than honey. Allahu Akbar, min al-asal. It is sweeter to me than honey. Imam Hussein embraces Hazrat Qasim and says, "Qasim, yes, your name is also mentioned on the list of shuhada." Hazrat Qasim is happy. He goes back to his tent. On that night of Ashura, all of the mothers are telling their children, "Tomorrow you have to give your life. Tomorrow you have to be sacrificed for your uncle Hussein." अज़ादान इमाम रोज़े आशूर जब आए तो बार बार हज़रत कासिम मौला के पास आते रहे आकर सवाल करते, बामू जान, चचा जान, मुझे भी इजाज़त दीजिए। इमाम हुसैन बार बार मना करते रहे, तू तो मेरे हसन की निशानी हो। You are the reminder, you are the last reminder of my brother Hassan. Qasim, how can I let you go into the battlefield? Well, every time that Hazrat Qasim would come back, his mother would ask, Umm Faroz, Qasim, you haven't gone yet? Qasim, you haven't gone yet? Why? Why are you doing? And he replies, "Mother, every time I go to my uncle Hussein, he's refusing me. He keeps telling me that you remind me of Imam Hassan and I can't let you go." At that time, Farwa remembers that on his deathbed, Hazrat Mujtaba had given a ta'weez. Imam Hassan Mujtaba had given a ta'weez. Even in that difficult moment, when his own liver was coming out, when the poison was so severe that the Imam was bleeding with severe agony and pain, he did not remember, he did not forget Karbala. Our salams on Mawla Hassan Mujtaba. Inside the ta'weez, there are two letters. One letter is addressed to Qasim. One letter is addressed to Imam Hussein. Hazrat Qasim looks at his letter and he sees that Imam Hassan, his father, had told him, "Qasim, don't hesitate to lay down your life. Make sure you support your uncle. Make sure you give your life for the sake of your uncle." And the other letters, which was addressed to Imam Hussein, Qasim alayhi salam takes it and he's running towards the khayma, the tent of Imam Hussein. Imam perhaps was thinking that he's coming again to ask for permission. Imam then sees that he's holding a letter and he says, "Uncle, oh my uncle Hussein, Baba has written a letter." Baba has written a letter for you. When Imam Hussein sees that there's a letter from Hassan Mujtaba, Imam cries torrents of tears. My brother remembered me at this difficult time. Imam takes the letter, he kisses it, and he reads it. He says, my dear Bhaiya Hussein, my dear brother Hussein, please don't refuse this Qurbani. Please don't refuse this gift. Please don't refuse Qasim on my behalf to lay his life down on the plains of Karbala when you are in difficulty. Imam Hussein has no choice. He tells Qasim, inshallah, go, bismillah, go. Farwa puts on the outfit on Hazrat Qasim. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The amama of Imam Hassan, the libas, the clothing of Imam Hassan, Azadaran Imam. Jab Hazrat Qasim aate khayma Husainiya mein, Imam Hussein ke aankhon ke samne Qasim nahi hai, Hassan Mujtaba hai. Imam Hussein has tears in his eyes. Allahu Akbar. My dear mourners, I cannot recite the Masahib of Hazrat Qasim. Imam Hussein says Khuda Hafiz to him. He bids him farewell. It is as if he is saying Khuda Hafiz to Hassan a second time. First in Medina and now in Karbala. Imam Hazrat Qasim fights valiantly as his predecessors Aun and Muhammad, as the other brave warriors. Hazrat Qasim is fighting so bravely. I am sure Mawla Hassan is looking and saying, Marhaba, Marhaba, Ya Qasim. आखिर में हज़रत कासिम ज़ख्मी होकर मलऊनों के हमले इस तरह चल रहे थे कि कासिम को घोड़े से गिराया, चचा को पुकारा, चचा को बुलाया, मौला हुसैन को जलाल आ गए. Imam Hussein becomes brave. He takes the sword and goes to the battlefield. When the enemies see Imam Hussein coming, they begin to run here and there. In the process of going here and there, Zakir mentions in tears and tributes. Zakir says Qasim was the one shaheed of Karbala, whose body was trampled twice, once in his lifetime. ये वाहिद शहीद करबला के जिनकी लाश पामाल 2 मर्तबा हुई, जिंदगी में पहली मर्तबा, और शहादत के बाद शाम गरीबा को मेरे मौला हुसैन. Imam reaches the Imam reaches the place where the parts of Hazrat Qasim are. He puts his aba down. Khuda kisi chacha ko ye halat na dikhaye Mawla. He puts his aba down. He puts the parts of Hazrat Qasim on the aba. Oh, Husaina, he puts the pieces. He's bringing his aba back to the khayma. Yaad rakhiye, subh se ta asr tak Mawla laashe laate rehte khayma. Farwa is called, but Imam Hussein tells Zainab, zara ihtiyat karna, be careful. Farwa notices that there is no body of Qasim that Mawla has brought. With great respect, she says, Mawla, yabna Mawla, I know you have been bringing bodies all day, but my Qasim was young. Mawla, Qasim की जिस्म इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं थी, लेकिन मालूम है कि शायद आप नहीं ला सके. मौला ने अबा को खोले, कासिम के जिस्म के टुकड़े टुकड़े रखे. उम्मे फरवा ने कहा, हाय मेरे कासिम इमाम हुसैन को फिक्र लग गई, ऐसा ना हो कि उम्मे फरवा भी दम तोड़ दे। ज़ैनब संभालो, Imam Hussein is worried now. Farwa, something might happen to her. He looks at Hazrat Zainab. Zainab, hold Farwa. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Qasim has gone to his father Hassan. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم يا حسين، 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 يا حسين.
قاسم نوشاہ کا لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، پیٹو سر لے ازا لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، مادر قاسم نے لاش پہ رو کر کہا، آ گئی تم کو قضا، لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، سن کا کروں کیا بیان، سال تھا وہ تیرواں، ہائے پرارماں چلا، لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، لاش پہ قاسم نے جا پیچ کے سر یوں کہا، ہائے ہوئی ہم سے خطا، لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، آزام کھول دے بری، ہوتے ہیں اب شاہدین، کون ہے جو لے بچا، لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، قاسم نوشاد کا لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، پیٹو سر لے ازا، لاتے ہیں لاشا حسین، ماتم حسین، یا حسین، یا حسین،
Ya Hussein, Harlam Allah Hujurakum. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, again, just to remind, as Salatul Maghribain will be coming forward, we have beautiful reciters, inshallah. So as the program has been arranged, we will have our respected speaker who will give the majlis before. And due to COVID restrictions, we are not able to have the tabarrukat that can come out this year, unfortunately. But we have our respected Sultan uncle thanking him that may Allah protect him, that he is able to recite these bayaniya right after the masaib. And inshallah we'll offer salat at its prime time, and then we'll have matam right after salat, and we'll conclude with Ziyarat Ashura. Also, a reminder, the mat just mentioned again, a reminder that donations are open. Inshallah, those who would like to make donations, they can either let Sultan Uncle know, Sayyid Hashmat know on the men's side. On the sister's side, they can let Sartuba know. If someone would like to e-transfer as well, there are opportunities for that as well. Details will be sent in the email to the community. So the budget that has been set is $15,000 it's for the entire year programs, not just for the Muharram program. Also, if someone would like to sponsor Niyaz or Tabarruk, they can also do so. Again, reminding that there are water bottles that are left behind. If I can request all those, if they are having water bottles, to take the water bottles with you, just so there's no wastage left behind. Now we'll be offering the salat at its prime time, inshallah. So requesting my younger brothers and sisters on the ladies' side and the men's side to help lay out the prayer mat so we can give the adhan. And we'll offer salat, as I mentioned, and then we'll have matam right after it. There's a sign-up sheet as well right beside the door. You can sign up your name, either if you would like to recite any poems before the majlis or matam right after, or in the nightly recitations as well, inshallah. Just a last announcement is that regarding registration, due to COVID, there are limited spots, and we expect people to have more and more, inshallah, joining us. So it is strongly advised, if you can, there's a registration link that is sent out. If you can, inshallah, register yourself before coming, just to make sure that we have a spot for you available, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma I'll just check the time. Is it time? How are you, Hassan? Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it's time, sorry.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد وآله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير الأمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله وصل اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله. حي على الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. Mu'mineen, Mu'minat, sisters and brothers, we have connection for ladies. Just a quick reminder that as soon as whoever is leading the salat says his takbiratul ihram, just wait for a second for the person immediately behind to recite their takbiratul ihram, which will be audibly, which will be loud inshallah, then everybody else as soon as possible. And we have connection for the ladies, so we want to make sure that that connection is there. So the takbiratul ihram is slightly audible even for the rest of the mu'mineen, but just wait until the people that are immediately behind me start, and then the rest of you as soon as possible inshallah. Okay? If there's any other questions about Salatul Jamaat or just any reminders you want me to do, just remind me tomorrow, inshallah, and we can maybe just have 1 or 2 minutes after Azan, but before the Salat, without making it too late for the Mu'mineen, inshallah. Inna salatu wa nusuki mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. إلهي صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. إلهي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله تعالى وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وعافنا واعف عنا في الدنيا والآخرة إنك على كل شيء قدير. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لعن قتلة الحسين وأولاده وأصحابه. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. إلهي صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. إلهي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمد عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وتقبل شفاعته في أمته ورفع درجته. بحول الله تعالى وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وفرجنا يا كريم. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله وخير أسماء كلها لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمد عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة والرضوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه وآله السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك، لا إله إلا أنت، أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
الله أكبر. الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل وآل محمد.
حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح، حي على خير العمل، حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة،
قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة.
الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
إن الصلاة والنسك محياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين أستغفر الله كل ذنب. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله تعالى وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم لعن قتلة الحسين وأولاده وأصحابه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. إلهي صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وتقبل شفاعته في أمته ورفع درجته بحول الله تعالى وقوته أقوم وأقعد وأركع وأسجد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. الله أكبر. بحول الله تعالى وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا ولي العافية نسألك العافية، عافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمد عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع الرزق، وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي، فأجول في طلبة بلدان، فأنا فيما أنا طالبك العيران. لا أدري في سهل هو أم في جبل، أم في أرض أم في السماء، أم في بر أم في بحر، وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من. وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك، وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله، واجعل يا رب رزقك لي واسعا، ومطلبه سهلا، ومأخذه قريبا، ولا تغنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا، فإنك غني عن عذابي وأنا فقير إلا رحمتك. فصل على محمد وآله، وجد على عبدك بفضلك، إنك ذو فضل عظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. I have been asked by the treasurer of our Jamaat to make this special announcement. I've been requested, I know Sayyid Taha has made this announcement every night, but I've been requested to please donate towards the Jamaat fund. So far, it's been the 7th night already, and we have only collected about $1,500 instead of $15,000. Can I please request everybody to donate generously towards this cause? This donation is going to be for the whole year, not just for the Muharram, as Sayyid Taha had mentioned earlier. So please try and donate as much as you can, generously, please. And it's already 7th night, and I'm sure after the Roze Ashura or Shbi Ashur, we won't be seeing each other very much. So these are only 3 nights to donate. So please, I'm requesting everybody to donate as much generously as you can. Sallu ala Nabi.
Inshallah, before we start with the matam, also just a reminder, as I mentioned, the sponsoring for the niyaz, alhamdulillah, has been completed till the nights. So inshallah, if you would like, you can also donate, use that amount for the donations that Sultan Uncle just mentioned. That can be used for that purpose. And also, I was also requested by the dear brother to inshallah announce that if someone would like to buy the calendars for the new year, they can either contact me, let me know on the sister side as well. The price for each calendar is about $5. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein,
دار صلوات محمدی در موج بحر غم طوفان برپا کردی در موج بحر غم طوفان برپا کردی واویلا 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 در جای مادرش مادرم فاطمه در جای مادرش مادرم فاطمه آمده بر بالینش آمده بر بالینش کنار حلقم واویلا 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 لا برادر حسین جان برادر حسین جان بیا سوی القمه آمده از چنان آمده از چنان مادرم فاطمه واویلا 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 کشتی صبر من کشتی صبر من که ناخدا گردید در موج بحر غم در موج بحر غم طوفان با پا کردید وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا در القم گردید در القم گردید به دست و سرسقا با سوز دل گویم با سوز دل گویم در این دل صحرا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا وا ویلا سقا در خون خفته سقا در خون خفته در پیش چشمانم منتظر یابن منتظر یابن در خیمه طفلانم وا ویلا 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 یا حسین
یک صلوات بلند به خاطر ختم خونریزی و رفاه مردم مظلوم همه ممالک اسلامی مخصوصا مردم افغانستان. من حسینم باغبان گل فروشم من حسینم باغبان گل فروشم یک گلستان گل بجانان می فروشم یک گلستان گل بجانان می فروشم اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم اصغرم اکبرم گل گل من حسینم که از گلستان رسولم سبت حیدر زاده پاک بتولم سبت حیدر زاده پاک رسولم اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل من حسینم که ز خونم گشت رنگین من حسینم که ز خونم گشت رنگین پرچم عشق و عدالت در ره دین پرچم عشق و عدالت در ره دین اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل من حسینم حامی دین پیامبر من حسینم حامی دین پیامبر گشتم بی منزل و بی یار و یاور گشتم بی منزل و بی یار و یاور اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل اکبرم گل اصغرم گل قاسمم گل صلوات الله محمد و آل محمد یا حسین
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai Qasim, hai Qasim. है कासिम है कासिम कैदी बनकर पाबंद रसा लाशों से जो गुजरे अहले हराम हर बीबी अपने प्यारों से होती थी विदा करके मातम एक बीबी फातिमा बिन्त हसन पामाल बदन कासिम की बहन किसी एक जा से रुखसत न हुई किसी एक जा से रुखसत न हुई टुकड़ों में जो ताबाई का बदन कभी इस टुकड़े पर है कासिम कभी उस टुकड़े पर है कासिम कभी इस टुकड़े पर है कासिम कभी उस टुकड़े पर है कासिम तेरी बहन गरीब नु नहीं बोलना तेरी बहन गरीब नहीं बोलना तेरे कत्ल दा मंजर है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम कदी इस टुकड़े ते है कासिम कदी उस टुकड़े ते है कासिम कभी चेहरा देख के रोती थी कभी खशका के गिर जाती थी कभी चेहरा रोती थी कभी गश खा के गिर जाती थी पामाल हुआ था बाई जहां हुआ था बाई जहां उस खून पे गिर कर है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम कभी इस टुकड़े पर है कासिम कभी उस टुकड़े पर है तेनू नाल दुआवा मां उजड़ी मैदान दे पासे तोड़ी असी तेनू नाल दुआवा मां उजड़ी मैदान दे पासे तोड़ी असी ओदी मेहनत कर पामाल गया ओदी मेहनत कर पामाल गया 9 लाख दा लश्कर है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम है कासिम कदी इस टुकड़े ते है कासिम कदी उस टुकड़े ते है कासिम फरमान ने कहा बेटा कासिम कह देना दादी जहरा से फरमान ने कहा बेटा कासिम कह देना दादी जहरा से, गुर्बत की कमाई टुकड़ों में, गुर्बत की कमाई टुकड़ों में बेची है सजा कर है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम। कभी इस टुकड़े पर है कासिम, कभी उस टुकड़े पर है कासिम। सानू रास न आई करब बला तू भाज कफन, मैं बाजरदा। सानू रास न आई करब बला तू भाज कफन, मैं बाजरदा। तड़े कत्ल दे बाद लईना ने, तड़ी कत्ल दे बाद मेरी लुट लई चादर है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम। कदी इस टुकड़े ते है कासिम, कदी उस टुकड़े ते है कासिम। होए टुकड़े टुकड़े नाल जहर मेरे बाबे हसन दा पाक जिगर, होया टुकड़े टुकड़े नाल जहर मेरे बाबे हसन दा पाक जिगर। होया टुकड़े टुकड़े विच मकतल, होया टुकड़े टुकड़े विच मकतल। तड़ी लाश बरादर है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम, है कासिम। कभी इस टुकड़े में है कासिम, कभी इस टुकड़े में है कासिम। या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन।
From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala. From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala. The luminous moon lighting the way, the rising sun that brightens the day. Heaven without you would be in flames. You are the heaven in Karbala, in Karbala, Karbala. From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala. From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala. Your visitors offer you their hands. These enemies will never understand. How can the water lose to the sand? How can the thirst win in Karbala, in Karbala? From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala, Karbala. From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala. When will we meet again, Ya Hussein? When under your dome will I grieve again? From Najaf I walked into Karbala. When will we meet again, Ya Hussein? When under your dome will I grieve again? From Najaf I walked into Karbala, in Karbala, in Karbala. From Karbala, Karbala, Karbala to Karbala, Karbala, Karbala. I left my heart in Karbala, in Karbala. Karbala.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. متوجه زيارة عاشوراء. Just a reminder, inshallah, there will be the sajda, the recommended sajda. So, inshallah, if you would like to take a turba, you can do so. Or because it's a mustahib sajda, with your permission, you can also do the sajda on the jazakumullah.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
عجل طريق.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثارح والوتر الموتور. السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله. يا أبا عبد الله. يا أبا عبد الله. لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت مصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام. وجلت وعظمت مصيبة بك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت. ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها. ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم. ولعن الله الممحدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله. يا أبا عبد الله. يا أبا عبد الله. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان. ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة. ولعن الله ابن مرجانة. ولعن الله عمر بن سعد. ولعن الله شمرة. ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، يا أبا عبد الله، يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم، وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم جميعا. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغنا المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب الثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصاب بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقام هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن الآكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، في كل موطن وموقف وقف في نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم العن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم العن الصحابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعات وبايعات وتابعت على قتلهم، اللهم العنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وأبد به أولا ثم الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسة ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرة وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجدة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصاب بهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيته. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا محجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Inshallah, if you can all recite Al-Fatiha for all the marhumin, those present there, marhumin, the recent deaths that the community has witnessed, from the young, from the elders, from children, from parents, inshallah, including the ulama, maraj ikram, the shuhada of Islam, everywhere in all the countries, especially for those who don't have anyone left in this world to recite Fatiha for them. Bismillah.